Welcome to Superpower Reviews. My name is Liam Smith. Today we're going to be reviewing the DC Designer Series Batgirl 1/6 scale statue. Coming right up. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the box. Image on the front of the statue. DC Comics Designer Series Batgirl by Cameron Stewart and Babs Tarr. Flipping around to the side, there's a full image of the statue. More information about the statue there if you want to pause that and read it. Flipping around to the back side of the box, an image of another one of the statues in this line. This is the Green Arrow and Black Canary statue. On the opposite side, a close-up picture of the statue, and it mentions that it is hand-sculpted cold-cast porcelain, which is something I'm going to talk about later on in the video because there are some issues with this process that people have had in the past. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this statue out of the box and take a closer look. Okay, so now that we have the outer box removed, we'll go ahead and remove the statue from the styrofoam. The base is housed inside this piece. We'll remove that in just a moment. Now the statue is wrapped in plastic. I don't see any breakage so far. As I talked about earlier, that has been an issue with this particular statue. I'll find out more upon closer inspection. Okay, so the base feels like it is a very heavy piece. It's housed safely inside the styrofoam lid. Go ahead and pull that out. Okay, so taking a look at the base, it is a matte black. It is a very heavy polystone base. And I really like what they did with the Bat logo here. It is the yellow and purple just as it is in the suit, but they have the engraved border around it that is colored purple with the raised yellow bat. That is a very cool feature, and I like the detail they put into that. Okay, and on the bottom of the base you're going to see the edition number. It's limited to 5,200 pieces. This one is 4801 out of 5,200. Okay, so as you can see, it has the standard foot pegs that go into the two holes on the base. We'll go ahead and mount that here. It's one larger and one smaller so that you always know you're putting it in the correct way. Fits in just like that. Nice snug fit. I have seen reviews online as well where it fit loose and it would wobble, but luckily this time got one with a nice tight fit. Now the first thing you'll notice about this statue is it's based on the DC Comics series. It's not based on a movie or an animated series of any kind. It's directly from the pages of the comics. So DC Collectibles did a really great job on this one. They did put a lot of detail in this. We'll start at the top. If you look at the cowl, very great sculpting on that around the eyes. You can see the great paintwork around the face as well. The green eyes, the red lips, everything is painted very intricately. I don't see any spillover from the green to the white in the eyes. Even as something as detailed as the ears, the nose, the mouth, so on, very fine details on that. Something that you can usually only get with the cold cast porcelain. Even though it becomes very fragile after the fact, you can get finer details in this than you can in any other medium, which is, you know, a good reason to use it for something like this, but of course it's a trade-off, then you run the risk of it being broken. Okay, now speaking of the details, I mentioned the face and the cowl. Let's move on down to the suit. Now there's a lot of intricate details if you look closely at the collar, the buttons that hold on the cape, the zipper on the suit. Everything has a lot of very fine detail into it, once again attributed to great sculpting, great artwork, and of course the cold cast process. As you notice, the matte purple that's on the suit, it gives it a really nice leather look to it without having, you know, an over sheen like pleather would have to it, too shiny. They did put some shiny parts to offset it, the boots for example, the pouches. The gloves are still kind of a matte but a little bit shinier than the purple on the suit, so the variations in the types of paint is what makes this really unique. It gives it a very vivid look to it. So taking a look again at the front of the suit, I wanted to point out some of the details on here. The way they were able to get all the sculpted lines into the suit the wrinkles around the elbows, around the neckline, the waist, everywhere there would be natural movement in the material. They made sure to get those natural creases in there, which really does up the realism on how the suit looks. Okay, so coming around to the side of the suit, following the same theme, they use different types of paint, the glossy on the pouches, the satin type black along the side of the leg, next to the matte purple, really does complement each other with two different types of paint. Now moving on down to the boots, they use more of a glossy yellow on that. It's kind of a work boot look that she has on this. I'm not sure how practical that would be for crime fighting, but it fits the cartoonish comic type look on this. And speaking of the boots, there's a lot of fine detail in the paintwork on here as well. When you're using two very contrasting colors like this yellow with the black laces right on top of it, it's very easy to get sloppy with the paintwork and get black onto the yellow, but they didn't do this on any of the laces. They did a really great job with the fine details and keeping it very nice and neat. Okay, so moving around to the back of the statue. Once again, really nice details on the sculpting of the hair, the back of the cowl. Now this would be the only small minor place that I see some paint spill over. If you look really closely behind this ear, there's a little bit of the orangish paint that's on the hair, got under the ear, but honestly, it's pretty far behind the ear. There's no way you would normally see that. Okay, and moving around to the opposite side, you see they got a really nice flow going with the hair. The sculpting was done really well on that. More fine details coming down to the waist area with the pouches. They could have put a little more detail into the actual paint on the pouches, but I do understand that they were going for a comic book look where there's a lot more solid primary colors, not a lot of fine details in the accessories. Now, one of the most impressive areas on the statue to me is definitely the face sculpt. This one, as I always say, they knocked it out of the park. I mean, everything from the sculpting to the paintwork in such fine, intricate detail. It's amazing how they can pull this off and make it look so flawless. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the size of the statue. From the base to the top of the ears, we are just under 12 inches, about 11.5 inches. From the table to the top of the ears, you're at almost 13 inches because it's a fairly thick base on the bottom. Okay, so I mentioned earlier about the cold cast porcelain process for this statue and how fragile it can be. Now, there are some nightmare stories about this particular statue online where people were receiving this statue, especially when they had it shipped to them, with the arm broken off right at this elbow, the head snapped off, hair pieces broken, many different things broken on it. Luckily, I had zero breakage on this statue. I got lucky with that because it was shipped to me. If you're buying this in a local store, the best thing to do is to have them open the box for you before you leave the store, make sure nothing's broken. Almost any store will do that for you, no problem. If you're ordering online, just make sure you're ordering from a store that has a decent return policy. Okay, and that's going to wrap it up for this review of the DC Designer Series Batgirl. Go ahead and leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of this statue. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because you don't want to miss any upcoming videos. We have lots of new content around the corner. And as always, I'll see you on the next video.